The guy who's first to use cocaine, the wild boy breaking free. He'll end up in a court of law as a prosecuting QC. Remember the school captain? Success was a matter of time. I can hear her now as she screams, Greg, you missed the stop sign. Forget Snoop Doggy Dog. Forget Old Ice-T. The true word out on the streets is produced by the TAC. What's the use of striving? Life's road in front unravels. We get to do the driving, don't choose the direction we travel. Do your homework and whack for weeks, graffiti the damn dumb line. It don't matter much when you hear that scream, Greg, you missed the stop sign.
Greg, the stop sign. Greg, the stop sign. Greg, the stop sign. Greg, the stop sign.
Sometime in the next 10,000 years, a comet's gonna wipe out all trace of man. I'm banking on it coming before my end-of-year exam. The rich kid becomes a junkie, the poor kid an advertiser. What a tragic waste of potential. Being a junkie's not so good either. You folks work hard for what you got. You're the fruit of their vine. Who cares what you sow and what you reap? Miss Greg, you missed the stop sign.
Sometimes it's just au revoir. To prove you're not a pleb, you need a good celeb, a way of life you can believe. But how'd you pick the shit from something that's the shit? I got this idea from TV. Roots you'd marry, the quality of your philosophy. Well, it's got to be down to a choice of free. Roots you'd marry, is it sentimental? Is it the family wealth? Or just the total waste of time in general? Existentialism, well, it really isn't a good for more than just a thing. Though it's all hot wind, if your beard is indie, it can be a fashion thing. Some halls of residence, semi-feminist, will poach you from the second sex. Then turn into their mom, their rebellion is to be the token hooker at the fancy dress. Roots you'd marry, is it flirtation, is it vocation? Will it survive a TV style illumination? Roots you'd marry, is it a soulmate, cameo role mate? addicts, straight edge, burners of hedge, family first against parenting, Luddites into geocaching, society for not letting the boogeyman in, people fighting people who are fighting things, just like tattoos, some things will stay with you, whether you like them or not. I like the Eco-Frico, go peek out your window, although some think it's just a plot. I fold up big life mission, got to be religion, we all want security in this human race. All things have their place, except Reiki. Who should marry? What's it gonna be? I sing along with me. Everybody get into the whole stupidity. Who should marry? Are you right, babe? If you be climbing and act just like a knuckle dragging climbing. Who should marry? Who should marry?
Well, have you guessed who the guest is yet? We heard from TISM, Greg, the stop sign. And then, fast forward a little bit, we heard from the DC3, which from their new album may contain traces of Nut. And that was the song Root, Shoot, Marry. And my guest this evening is none other than Damian Cowell, who was in TISM, was in Root, and various other things, and is now the DC3. Welcome to the Heathers on Fire.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you for that very charming intro. I sort of felt like the guy driving down Toorak Road in Hartwell who looks up every night and sees Tracy, I Love You, which he painted on the train bridge about 15 years ago, slightly embarrassed, but, it was well meant at the time.
Well, you did write me a very nice letter when you sent me the CD, telling me all about your history, obviously thinking that I wouldn't have known your history and things like that. But the funny thing was, as I was saying, I used to manage a pub back in Edinburgh, and it would have been about 15, 16 years ago, and I was driving one of my Antipodean workers home after the shift, and he'd had a cassette that somebody had sent him, a mixtape that somebody had sent him, and he goes, "Oh, you got to hear this song." And he was a Melbourne boy, and he played me "You'll Never Be an Old Man, River."
Right.
And I was just like, wow, this is just insane. And I actually went to the record shop the next day to try and buy it, but obviously there was no distro deal in the UK
No.
in the UK at that time. So I actually got the record shop owner to import a copy of the vinyl for me of that. So it's a great pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, that's bizarre. Yeah, it's pretty much how TISM is in Australia now. You have to, import the records from Scotland, I think. So yeah, well, it's amazing that there are a lot of people out there who, we pass through sort of like an intruder in the through the back door in the night, and they turn up in the strangest of situations. But that's pretty good. I'm impressed by that. Yeah. We went to the UK once, but
did they get you?
Well, Peter Andre's album was out at the time, so we couldn't compete really with that.
Yes, well, I know who I would rather have gone and definitely seen on I'd rather see your abs.
Yeah,
and
slightly hairy and.
So you've done a few things since TISM. You did the Root thing, which I never got to see TISM live, but I did get to see Root a couple of times live. And now you did the thing down at Mona Foma.
Yes.
In Hobart at the Museum of Old New Art.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I was commissioned to write an album about art in Mona, and that was about 2 years ago, and it only seems to be now people are starting to text me and go, "Fuck, I'm in this place, Mona, and you're in it." So that kind of thing takes a while, I guess. But perhaps there's some extremely arty sandal-wearing types in Long Island who think I'm fantastic, but people in Australia are a bit slower to pick up. But that's all right. was, Root was like this kind of trainer wheel thing because, without going into too much detail about TISM, it was, a pretty hefty persona and all that sort of mask bullshit. And coming out in public once my looks had gone was...
Was it easy to do that? Or
well, no, not really. And so that's why I was hiding behind the hats and the outfits and all that sort of stuff.
Things like that.
Yeah, but Root played about 2 country songs and then started sort of slipping back into, the misanthropic Mark E. Smith crap that I go on with. And the only reason why we were playing at places like the Retreat was because we dressed like all the other bands there. So I sort of. I had to knock it on the head, and the Mona thing came along, and that was a great opportunity because I didn't want a band doing it. I wanted to sort of do it on my own and see if I could. And where do you start with that? That's just a complete. It's just everything about it says fuck off. It's just.
So let me sort of think about it. Is it you have it on the headphones as you walk through the galleries?
That's right, yeah.
So
you get an iPhone when you walk in, and so it's organised. I mean, it's a great idea. It's a little bit, some people find it a bit annoying, but instead of having a plaque underneath each piece, you've got this iPhone, and it's got Wi-Fi so that it locates where you're standing and what art is near you, and on each piece you can read stuff about it, so it's just the usual kind of description. Or David Walsh, the crazy man who's behind Mona, he does his own hilarious little pieces about it. And then on, there's 15 in total, I think. There's a song of mine, so I was actually there a couple of weeks ago, and it was pretty fascinating, a pretty weird experience standing next to a piece of art with a person with headphones on, which I knew they were listening to my song.
Yeah. So you hadn't been down before to go through and...
no, well, it was in construction when I wrote the songs, which was really... So
were you told what was going to be...
Yeah, well,
He
gave me a tour, but it was all in this stop storage place, so you're in there pulling out these drawers and, there's Brett Whiteley, and, here's a tray full of coins that are worth $1 million,
Yeah.
It was all completely surreal. And I actually had to work off just some printed pages with JPEGs. So it was really quite difficult because there's this giant head by a guy called Gregory Barsamian, and it's just amazing, this head. You look inside the head through the eye sockets or whatever, and there's a strobe display going on with a bird flying and then going into a flower, and all this sort of weird shit goes on. And all I had was a tiny little thumbnail of this head, But fortunately, listeners hopefully don't get the sense that I'm some art appreciating type. My whole take on it was to be totally irrelevant, belittle everything, and so that's what I ended up doing. Really, I might as well not have seen the art. So, there's this thing called Bitfall, which is this giant waterfall that percussively spells out words which are, the latest search words on Google. So, it'll go knees, elbow, whatever, gaga. And, so, that's an amazing, that's just the feat of engineering apart from that whole sort of zeitgeist sort of bullshit that's attached to it. So what do? I write a song called the no longer popular Google search word party, and just write a song all about, ice snacks and Whispering Jack. So.
Well, we're lucky enough because you're only supposed to hear this at Mona.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is a bit of an exclusive here. If you haven't been down to Hobart yet, to Mona, this will probably be the only time that you'll hear it out with Mona. I'm going to take a track off the Damian Cowell versus Art CD. It's only available at Mona, so lucky you. I'm going to take the track No App, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a bit about the new album.
face, his knowledge captured, lean manufactured Wi-Fi workspace. His face, a look of rote insouciance, belied the voice lugubrious. In his head, insidious, invidious, a chorus of idiots that said, it's been 3 seconds since your last idea, man. Your career, man, it's dead. Already the colour was draining from his Dorian grey psyche. Not good when you're Jesus, Zeitgeist Almighty. Around him on the floor, discarded toys, failed ploys from the fore. Lesser versions of himself, ideas men left on the shelf. Gizmos, gimmicks, 100 or more. Jim Crack, gewgaws, jackdawed from some sweatshop kid at the fat end of the pyramid. Watching fame pass them by. The man thought there, but for the grace of drugs, go I.
I paid the price and I'm online in the league of the night. I fly wide and Wi-Fi, synergized, paralyzed. I no longer care what's real. I no longer have to feel. There's no anybody else. There's no other, there's no self.
Flecking the $3,000 razor lapel of his Ezra London suit, Je m'appelle success, it screamed. The finest sheen, a dusting of powder, Bolivian faster, louder, subsistence. When you're rich enough for a hand-to-mouth existence, it set the scene, his brain widescreen, his pupils configured, his pulse hair trigger. And at last it appears, that rush of ideas in 2s and 3s, ringtone epiphanies, shards, slivers, snippets, scintillas, soupçons, 1,000 songs, only not songs, but sub-riffs, sequences, 2-second shreds, secret sounds on shuffle in his head. He conjured the ultimate app that everyone wanted but nobody needed. The app that constantly self-superseded his vision, his mission, the frisson of transition. The app that would double, triple his fame. The app that would bring everlasting acclaim. Change forever the rules of the game. The ultimate app, it just needed a name.
And I leave what I've become, and I feel I am the one, and I think I can touch the sun, and I feel like Jesus' son, to the time when in the mix, and I only want the mix, but the feeling is the best, on the brink of emptiness.
For his greatest creation, one word for the orgy of information, one word for the goldfish generation, with 1 million apps but no application, one word to describe how far we've come, what technology-driven modern living's become. And at last the word came from above, and the word was good, and the word was I Vuvuzela. to lead us down and tell me who I am. I'm waiting for the man.
And that's from Damian's album that he's done for Mona. It's the track No App, which you can only hear if you go down to Hobart. So you were very lucky to hear that. Just a quick sponsorship announcement, then we'll come back and have a chat.
White Night Melbourne is an all-night wonderland filling the city streets with music, food, film, art and light. Explore over 80 free events in the city heart, including street performers and spectacular light shows. Trams will run all night this Saturday, February 23, from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. More info at whitenightmelbourne.com.au. Triple R sponsors.
Sounds like a great thing that is happening in the city of Melbourne. White Night, and great to have Damian Cowell from DC3. It's his latest band that he's coming to Spruik.
Absolutely.
He was busy telling me that he's starting at the bottom again. So I'm not quite in agreement entirely with that. So
Well,
the album
artistically,
is May Contain Traces of Nut, and they'll be launching it at the Northcote Social Club on February the 23rd and 24th. So that's tomorrow and Sunday for those that don't have a calendar. Tell us a bit. So what is the DC3? Where did it come from?
Well, it came out of the Mona album, actually, because I got sort of a couple of the guys who had been in Root and asked them to play, along with it. But it went back to my kind of music, which was, I don't know, I suppose kind of slightly electronic and sort of punk rock electronica, I suppose, or something. So with that new template, the two guys, Henry and Doug, joined, and then we sort of thought, well, let's just keep going. So we didn't have a drummer at that stage because we couldn't afford one, and I seem to have a lot of trouble with drummers. I think it's all those years mucking around with drum machines that sort of spoils you, I blame New Order, actually, because, when I had a Pinehead haircut, and New Order came along, they actually made it cool to buy a drum machine. So it's all their fault, really. If their record covers weren't so stylish looking, I may have never gone down that path. But yeah, so that's that's sort of where we're at, the DC3, and now we've got a drummer, and tomorrow night we're actually turning into a giant band. We've got singers and horn section and ukuleles and dancers, and it's sort of far too many people for the stage at the Northcote Social Club, but we'll see how we go with that. Yeah.
So, I mean, looking at the titles, for a start, I need to ask you, Root, Shoot, Marry.
Yes.
Who are your Root, Shoot and Marries?
You put me on the spot there, Dave. I think Root, Shoot, Marry comes from, there's actually an English program at the moment running on, Channel Slumming it, called Snog, Marry, Avoid,
yes,
which seems to pick girls from a certain part of Liverpool, I think, and I was...
I just never knew. There's obviously never knew there was that much orange fake tan going around in the UK.
It's fantastic, isn't it? And you do suspect that it's all just a setup, like most reality TV. Nevertheless, it had a certain car crash appeal, so I was sitting there white-knuckled, and I didn't realise, but of course the Australian vernacular has a far more coarse version of it, which is Root, Shoot, Marry, and I think it's probably one of those great, it's like Esperanto, the language that never took off.
Bit of a parlour game.
Yeah. So it's sort of for what adults do when they're just a bit too old for I Spy, I guess. So, but I thought, well, that you could sort of apply that to anything really, especially especially when you meet people who get consumed by new things, and you suspect it's just a root, you suspect that it's not going to be marry, so that's the idea behind that song, really, is apply it to existentialism and And as always, I completely take all the worth and value out of a subject and, make you poorer for having listened to it.
Now, one of my other favourite tracks is Pseudio.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And obviously you can't tell in my voice how it's spelled, but it's Sud, as in P-S-E-U-D, as in Sud's Corner from Private Eye, Pseudio. What about that one? What's the thinking there?
It was about someone originally.
Self-critical, or is it about someone else?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm usually self-critical, but that's just the rest of the album. No, it was originally about somebody, but it's basically about the cool person in your life, and that can take its form in any manner of styles, like the person who looks down their nose because you have put your report on the incorrect template, or they generally pronounce it template, but so that sort of and I describe it as the cubby house owners. The kids who own the cubby house get to say who knows the password and who doesn't. The password this week is Ricky Nixon, but next week you don't know. So, and that's what Pseudio is all about, really. It's something happened to these people. Somebody thought their lunchbox was a laugh in primary school, and so they spend the rest of their life being a gatekeeper. And I've always been on the other side of the gate, even when I was sort of semi-crappily famous, no one ever recognised me anyway. So I never got the trappings of fame. And
was that a nice thing for you that you?
Oh, it was hilarious, I guess. I mean,
did you not?
You could go.
Did you not want that fame? Or
oh shit, yeah, Dave. I mean, you want, of course, your idea of fame, however, and the reality of fame are not necessarily the same. You know what I mean? Like you sort of imagine that fame is that when you go into your local milk bar, Scarlett Johansson is serving behind the counter, and she melts at your very presence. But in fact, fame is actually being kind of buttonholed in a pub by some guy who's just eaten 2 tons of garlic prawns. That's what fame is actually all about. So look, I've had a lot of. You can go up the back of your own gigs. Well, I can't anymore, but I used to be able to go up the back, watch the support band, and that'd be fine. Or when that River Phoenix song you were alluding to came out, naturally it was. You couldn't avoid it, you poor bastards of Australia couldn't avoid it at the time. And we'd just had our first child, and my beautiful wife and I were walking down the steps to the beach, looking like, sort of looking like we were on some NASA mission, because that's what you have when you've got a little kid. You've got this kind of this horrible sort of mint-coloured pile of detritus with you, and we're going down looking 20 times our age, and this surfer behind us on the steps turned to his mate and, started sort of going, "Yeah, dude, you hear that song, that River Phoenix?" And that for me was the pinnacle. I couldn't really go any higher after that. If I'd said to him, "Yeah, I sang that," can you imagine? He just would have punched me.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, you did the artwork for this album as well, didn't you?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Is that you on the cover?
Yeah, there's that kind of the sort of put upon
sucking your own being.
Yeah, the put upon wimpy everyman adorns all of our sleeves, and I just went a bit light on the beer pot. It's actually quite larger in real life, but and there's more hair on the drawing too. But
and you raised the money for the album in a very interesting way that's becoming more and more popular.
Well, it is, yeah. We raised it on Pozible, P-O-Z-I-B-L-E, and, I'm always embarrassed to say Pozible because it just makes me sound like I've, had a dental operation or something. But Pozible is the new, it's sort of the new thing, and there's a version called Kickstarter overseas, and it's a fantastic way of operating when you don't have, there's no longer record companies who are prepared to go into debt for you, on the back of Peter Andre's latest success. So, this is a way of getting money in advance. And before this, I mean, our previous album, we got people to we got fans to pre-order it, and we managed to kind of, pay for most of the recording costs, pretty low budget. So, but yeah, it's fantastic. We were able to plan ahead. We were able to, we're going to Sydney next week, and because, let's face it, if I was in debt now, well, I'd probably think, well, I don't know about this songwriting lark. I reckon TV's
sure.
better. So that's what Possible does. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know. I get this feeling we're in this transitional phase at the moment, where the grandkids of this generation are going to laugh at people like us who talk about things like albums and buying
there is
stuff.
that, Especially when people sort of cherry pick certain songs now. Like, no one listens to albums as much, I don't think. It's certainly not sort of kids in that. It's all like playlisted, and we'll take that song from that band and that song, and everything's a mixtape sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's not the same thing as sitting down and listening to one side and then flipping it over and listening to the other side.
Yeah, well, no, that's right.
But it was interesting. I had the band Japan Droids in here a couple of weeks ago, and they were saying that they deliberately record their albums as if it is on vinyl, and make it, they're only about 40 minutes long to hold that attention span of the sort of the kids that are buying their albums and things like that, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Well, it's nice that they're saying it, because presumably, they're young and good looking.
Well, yeah,
so they can.
He was devilishly handsome. The singer is.
So I mean, they
skinny as well. The bastard.
If it's coming from somebody like me, it just sounds like sour grapes.
Yeah.
Oh, the kids of today. But it's great if and vinyl still seems to be. I nearly fell over when I saw vinyl at JB Hi-Fi.
Well, I think it's one of the few platforms that artists are still putting out as well, and things like that.
Yeah,
which is good.
So maybe it's not dying. I don't know, but whatever. I mean, maybe in 100 years, music will all be live or something. I don't know. I mean, geez, it is Slam Day tomorrow, isn't it?
It is. Yes, it is indeed. So, and you're doing a gig. So
well, that's right. It was serendipitous, but in my case, I think it's Stop Luddite arsing Moulderley, but that's Slam for me. So
doors are at 8:30. Still tickets available, is there?
Yes.
For both nights, which you can get at the northgatesocialclub.com or the corner box office. Well, Damien, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Dave.
It's been a pleasure to have you, and good luck with the album, and good luck with the gigs.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to take the track Pseudio.